So what do you do with clients who talk too much? Well, if you're doing the more traditional stuff, you probably told them to close their eyes and relax, and you spend 2 hours just talking at them, which is not very beneficial. However, if you're doing more of a therapeutic approach, something we teach in our ACH training, which is, I want to find the root cause, I'm going to have to do what we call a hypnotic interview. And I ask a question like, what's the problem, or how's that a problem? And my client talks and talks and talks and talks and gives you conclusions and rationalization and conscious and unconscious information. 5 minutes later, they're still talking about what they think their problem is. How do you stop this, and what do you do with this? Well, aside from learning how to decipher the unconscious moments, which is conscious and unconscious information, nothing that you'll see by reading a script, nothing that you'll be sort of taught more traditional ways. It has to be a very certain way to learn therapy, especially the way that we teach it. One way to interrupt your clients, a very simple way, is once you start to find the unconscious information, you can hear those unconscious moments, you can hear the unconscious mind communicating to you through the conscious information that your client's giving you and all the conclusions. You just have to politely interrupt your client. So again, here's an example. I'll be working with lawyers. Say, okay, great. So what's the problem today? And they say, well, Scott, I really want to quit smoking. Okay, great. So what's stopping you from quitting smoking? That's a normal follow-up question. And then they conclude, talk and talk and talk, backwards rationalizations, thoughts, memories, emotions. I think it's this. I can't quit because this happened in my childhood, and this, and visualization. When I start to hear the unconscious information, this is all I did. I'd go, whoa, 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 just stop for a second. Hang on. And I'd pause, which is an indirect way to say, basically, shut up, pause with me. And I'll look at them sternly in the eye and say, okay, you just said this. You said you couldn't quit smoking because deep down you really loved it. What's that about? And you can see I'm slowing down my tone. I'm pausing because I want them to indirectly do the same. And I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to pick apart that information amongst all 99% of the fluff they've told me. It's that one piece of information, that 1%, that'll be the catalyst to take the direction of the session towards more of a big unconscious moment, which is unconscious information. So I politely interrupt, say, whoa, hang on, whoa. You just said this. What does that mean? Tell me more about that. And say, well, Scott, it's this. And I'll start talking again. And as soon as I hear that information again, go, whoa, you just said this. I might have to do that 2 or 3 times before they get the idea. And what will start to happen, which is really cool indirectly, you'll notice that they'll stop talking so much. They'll stop going through the fluff. They'll slow down because you've slowed down, okay? They'll pause and think about question because you're doing the same. It's just a big feedback loop, big feedback mechanism. Okay. And I'm going to follow the tail of those unconscious moments through that type of interaction. So don't ever feel bad to interrupt your client. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I think it's important. The complexity, there's another layer of complexity above this as well, which is you've got to be able to decipher not only between conscious and unconscious information, which is very basic conversational hypnosis style, something we teach. Above that, in our master's program, we talk about how do you not only decipher that part, but how do you decipher what is relevant to the conversation and what is irrelevant. I don't want to confuse you guys too much because it's a very advanced method. And again, this might sound like we're adding a lot of layers of complexity into something where it's like, Scott, I was just taught to read this script, and once all the words were done, the therapy was done. Well, we know that cannot be the case, okay? Because we know the scripts are just all conclusions. I won't get in my soapbox about that. We've made plenty of videos about that. But by understanding how complex this thing can be, the action of this becomes easier. And by easier, quicker breakthroughs. So you have to learn this complexity stuff. So my point here is if a client's over talking, politely interrupt them, find that unconscious information, give it back to them, which will actually create a mini trance, which is really cool, sort of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Have them talk to you about that specific thing. If they start talking again in a tangent, you've got to understand, okay, is this relevant to the story? Is it irrelevant? Are we on track? Are we going off track? You have to learn how to decipher this information. Stop them again, grab that part of the information, ask them about that. And eventually before long, which is really cool, sort of like training their unconscious mind, you find the better you do that, the more unconscious information they'll start to give you. And you'll notice the unconscious information is very short. It's very precise. It may be abstract. You have to find out what the meaning is, but it's very short. The long talking, the long-winded answers, the going off in tangents, that is complete conscious. And you do not want to pay attention to that. If you get lost in that conscious information that a lot of clients will give you, which is their right, they can tell us whatever they want to, and you formulate a conclusion and say, okay, you've said this, which is all conscious. I think this means your problem is this. You don't want to do that. You've got to learn to decipher what is conscious and unconscious. Again, if you want to learn how to do that, some links below, go check those out. It's exactly what we teach you to do. It may seem more complex at the start, but actually speed things up later. But again, to sort of recap, as I'm going off topic here, but it is still relevant. Don't ever feel bad to interrupt your clients. Politely interrupt them, put your hand up, stop them, and train them to give you the information in this way so it's short and concise.